This isn't the RNG you're looking for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Guys, I have the great BitDynasty on with me today. He is the master of ships, great player, other than that as well. And I'm just so excited to have him on here. Not to mention, guys, go in the video description right now and go to his channel. Follow him. He's almost at 10k subs, so he's gonna beat me there. He's been going to beat me there for a long time. But that being said, my friend, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no. Thanks for having me, man. It's always good to collaborate with fellow members of the community.
Oh, absolutely, man. And yeah, I have leaned on your ship videos at different times. Like I really appreciate, like, the kits and the nuances of those kits way better than pretty much anyone, really.
Yeah, except Rebels. I never got around to relicking my Bistons, so the Rebel fleet is the only one that I'm not too familiar with how it works. But yeah, all the other ones are in my back pocket. Yeah.
That's good. If we ever get matched, I'll have to make sure I find some advantage with Rebels then somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're really good with ships, and so I mean, I feel like it would be remiss of me. It would be just completely negligent of me not to try to talk about ships a little bit here, because I mean, people watch my channel for GAC stuff, for other things, and I'm not like terrible at ships, but I mean, we're in the presence of the master here, so I thought maybe we could get your thoughts on, like, what moving forward. Right now we kind of have a limited ships scene a little bit. Like we just don't have all the tools that we need. I mean everyone can say it's so obvious, certain fleets like the resistance fleet, it's so bare bones. What I want to talk to you, like, what kind of things do we need to, like, what kind of things do we need for fleets, in your opinion, moving forward in this game, if fleets are going to continue to expand and be a major part of this game?
Yeah, I mean, on my mind, I mean, there's lots of things that can be added, but probably the first two things that come to my mind is the crewless ships. We need something for them, because obviously more relics come, they will becoming less and less relevant because they have a cap. So either they increase the stats slightly, which knowing CG is unlikely, but maybe introduce some sort of upgrades then for them as well, just so they can stay competitive as we are getting more and more relics introduced to the game. And then second thing is, I think, like, for the light side GOTB, I think Executor is gay, don't get me wrong, but I was really hoping we would get some ships that help us on the light side of GOTB, because when you have those zones, when you need 2 missions, one you have special mission with Negotiator and Galactic Republic, and then the second one, if you roll Bounty Hunters, yeah, Rebels as well as Holdo can get a job done. But if you get Geos, it's most likely you will lose in most cases.
Right. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. What kind of capital ship do you, or what ships do you think would help us in GOTB? Like, what for light side? Because dark side, I mean, I've had it on lockdown for a while. I just wing it. I'm just like, whatever. I'll just throw whatever in, and I usually get all the waves.
Yeah, I mean, dark side is easy. Like, pretty much any dark side fleet commander can get the job done, right? But light side, we definitely need help there. I wouldn't like a new fleet commander introduced, new capital ship, because we've got so many capital ships. I think instead it would be better if we actually get some ships to complete the fleets that we have, that can give us some boost. So obviously for light side, Negotiator's good for most times. It will work. I mean, it can get tricky sometimes in the later stages, but at least you have a good chance to win, whatever you're going with. But yeah, definitely looking at the Resistance fleet. They're very good fleet overall. They're quite competitive, but what they're missing is a tank, which I think we all know. So just having something like resistance bomber introduced into the game, I think would really help there with the taunting to begin with. So just make sure that it's designed in a way that makes GOTB easier. That's why we need tanks, right? Because usually with that Holdo fleet, you would bring in, I don't know, Biggs, you would bring, or maybe Y-Wing to start off with a taunt, but they're not very tanky ships really, because they're all about protection recovery from the Rebel fleet, right? Obviously, like as mentioned before, like a Rebel fleet is not really my strong point. So if actually these missions are easy with Rebel fleets, I don't know, you can correct me, but
they're not.
They're quite, I know, like with Hold, I was actually experimenting using Razor Crest in the starting lineup as a tank because AI has priority on Razor Crest. So if you do have a high relic Razor Crest, you could just start without a tank. And I was able to get close to beating Geos twice, but my BAM is only relic free. So maybe with high relic we could make it work, I'm not sure. So I think it would be fun to have a resistance bomb in there, working similar to Holdo, like on its basic apply, foresight, because the resistant fleet is all about foresight. When ally loses foresight, which they all pretty much start off with the foresight because of the deflector shield, right? Then the bomber gets a taunt, recovers maybe some health or protection, and things like that. And then it would be cool if it would have like some sort of special ability where it gains taunt by itself and then hands out more buffs to its allies. Either is like, defense up, critical damage, immunity, just that the Falcon can get a little bit more buffs. So when it's doing its massive AoE, it can do even more damage, because now versus these fleets like bounty hunters, or even First Order, they're getting more health, more protection, so they're slightly tankier than normally would be. So Falcon isn't as effective anymore against those ships than it used to be. So just having something like that plays nicely with that whole synergy they have with Deflector Shield and Foresight. I think it would play very nicely there, because also I think they gain extra health or extra protection on the hold already resistant ships anyway. So I think that would something that would really help us out.
I think so. I think. I know that when Executor was first released, I actually did a bunch of testing. I thought wouldn't it be great to be able to have a team with Radis to be able to just take out Executor. Like if you can get Radis to go before Executor destroys you, like you're kind of more on an even playing field. And I got close a couple times trying to get Radis to go first, but it ended up not working out. Like obviously, or I'd have a video out. I'd have like 20 videos out, I'm sure. But
I mean, I had some success versus 4 and 5 star executors,
Sure.
with one-shotting Radis one-shotting them even after the rework. But versus 4 and 5 stars, in most cases you will take out the executor, but then you just get stuck behind Houndstooth.
Yep.
You just can't get it out after the buff because it's way tankier. But at least it's again an easy cleanup afterwards. Versus 4 and 5 stars, it works pretty well actually, just to take Executor out.
Yeah, I mean, I recently, for the first time in a long time, I actually got to face a 5-star Executor. It was in Territory Wars, and I used the Malevolence fleet with the TIE Fighter which is, that's one of your videos that I watched to use it, and I was just like, wow, this was smooth. It was so easy. Maybe I got good RNG, but there were a few RNG points that didn't even go my direction, and it's still like 7-star Executors where the power's at. So 4 and 5, I'm like, not. I'm always interested because in GAC I don't face anyone without a 7-star Executor. And eventually that's just going to be the case for the majority of endgame players. So, Radis seems like it's just on the edge. I've always thought that it was such a fun ship to be able to, it has so much potential. But yeah, if we could just have a bomber, would you want it to be a crewless bomber, or what would you want it to do?
See, that goes back to the whole point of will crewless ships ever get a stat boost, right? If not, then almost I wouldn't want crewless ships anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean that's actually something I brought up in our interview with Crumb a couple months ago when we had him on the Gambit podcast, because I see the issue here. Like, we can make our other ships like Relic 9. I mean, I don't want to put Relic 9 on like Bando to make the Razor Crest better, but I mean, it's almost going that direction where you want, like, is Cad Bane really going to be one of my first Relic 9s? But at least we have a route to make those ships better. I can't put relics on like the Hyena Bomber to make it better. Like, it's stuck where it's at back when it was designed in Relic 7 land.
Yeah.
So, and Crumb was very non-committal about that. He was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sure that'll be updated at some point," or something, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, what can he say really? Like,
Yeah, I know. You know, he can't say. To be honest, he's kind of the community manager or something, right? And so even if he knows, he wouldn't probably know everything, and even if he would, you know, he can't say anyway.
Well, so yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, like it could have been, it might have been in an update the next day, and he couldn't have said a single thing to us about it. So yeah, and obviously it wasn't. It's been months, but it would be really nice with Relic 9 coming out, and especially once Relic 9 becomes more accessible, because right now it's available to people who spend money or people who win territory wars at a huge rate at the high end of territory wars, which is a pretty small number of people. Those are the only people who even access it. So, like, but once they start adding it to other game modes, then we're gonna start seeing these ships, these fleets with Relic 9 pilots, like I said, Relic 9 Cad Bane, and
yeah, I faced somebody that put Relic 9 on Bosk. And it actually it didn't make much difference, to be honest.
on Bosk, yeah, that would. Yeah. I don't know why you'd do Bosk first, frankly. Like, I love Bosk. I love bounty hunters in general, even in squad. Like, he would be a candidate for me just because I love the character. But I would think that you'd really be you'd care more about like the starting turn order and stuff with the with Cad Bane and Bando. Not to mention Bando in squads is fantastic. The higher relics you get him, like he's crazy. He does so much damage. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting judgy. But that being said, so what's something else? Like you said, flesh out a couple fleets. Like you said, Resistance Bomber. Are there any others on your list that you'd love to see? Because I would love to see that too.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few more suggestions here because what I would like to do, what I would like to have is that we get to use every fleet commander. So some of even the older ones, right? Obviously, another one, obvious one, is probably many people already would kind of say it's give us a first order bomber, right? For example, it could have a permanent taunt if there is a hunted enemy on the field. Same like taunt on Houndstooth doesn't go away if there's breach, and you can just start off. Finalizer goes always first because it's so fast because of extra speed out of the gate, right? You apply hunt and then you have a pre-taunt, right? Things like that, and also that it would bring some sort of dispel because that's what first order is missing. Dispels. You put daze on them, you put ability block on them, and they're done for, right? So that first order bomber would have some sort of dispel. Maybe not necessarily mass dispel, maybe that would be too OP for the first order, but at least a way to maybe dispel. Maybe if you critically, because the first order, they're about critical hits at the end of the day and advantage, right? So maybe whenever either you gain advantage or score a critical hit, you cleanse off the buffs from your ship or something like that. Just again, kind of have some synergy with what's already there. Because first order is such a good fleet out of the gate. They really have a lot of firepower, but if you survive if you survive the initial sequence, you can quite easily stop them.
Yeah, they stall out really quickly. I mean, here's the ship. This is putting you on the spot, and I'd love to hear the rest of your list, but how much would, like, if they just released another ship that's like the clone of Plo Koon, like, how excited would you be? Like, we could use Plo Koon on 2 fleets now.
Yeah,
That seems
Yeah.
really exciting to me for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, Gauntlet is kind of similar. So sometimes I
Sure.
have Gauntlet as well with my first order fleet if I need Plow for something else, just for that cleanse, and you can recover some banners, you know. So sometimes in GAC you can get an extra banner just by bringing in a reinforcement. Also, Consular recovers protection as well, right? So you've got kind of free ships that can come in and top up protection your guys. Rex as well on his special as well, but they're just to a single target. So kind of save those ships to recover a banner when they come in just before you finish the last enemy. So Gauntlet kind of can place a little bit, but yeah, Plow is OP, man. You don't
Oh,
even have
he
to use
is.
an ability and you cleanse everybody. I mean, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. He comes in, cleanses everyone, and then gives everyone turn meter. I mean, or he gives a taunt if you want to, give more protection, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
but one ship that I've always wanted, or I keep wanting to add now that we have Executor out, I would love to see a Rebel A-Wing, because the A-Wing in episode 6 was the one that just who crashed through the bridge of the Super Star Destroyer and destroyed
Okay.
it destroyed Executor. I always thought, how would I don't even know how that would work exactly, but I've always thought that would be a cool addition to the Rebel fleet. Well, always, as in the last couple months that Executor's been here. But
Yeah, like I said, I'm not too familiar with Rebel fleet because my rebels are really bad. Like my Akbar's gear 11, and. So what do you feel that Rebel fleet is missing right now?
so a lot of times you can beat the lower level executors sometimes if you have a really high level Biston, and if all of your fleet is high relic. But the issue is a lot of times you just get stuck on that houndstooth. It's just so hard. You don't. I don't know. You can get the dispel sometimes and get it so that you can dispel the houndstooth, but a lot of times you just get stuck. And if you can't power through that houndstooth quick enough, then there are issues. I don't know. Maybe A-Wing would do something to mess with their protection or something like that. Similar to how Malevolence will do its ultimate and stop all the shields. Stop the
Yeah, because
protection.
Rebel Y-Wing does that on it specially, right? But it can be
Sure.
resisted. That's
Oh,
that's the annoying bit, and Houndstooth likes to resist stuff a lot, doesn't it?
oh yeah, and then they can dispel it anyways. There's a ton of ways for the Houndstooth to dispel it. So if the Houndstooth is about to take a turn and you do the big dispel, you're like, yes, I landed it, and then Houndstooth just does a basic, then it's gone, and it's like it never happened. So
Yeah.
you need to have some way, but maybe that could be a tandem. The A-Wing would make that buff, or that debuff, stick more often, or it would make that debuff undispellable or something.
Yeah.
Have some kind of
Maybe.
interaction.
Or maybe target locked enemies. If you hit them, you ignore protection, because rebels do have some target locks, right?
Oh
Or
yeah,
would
they
that
do.
or would that be too OP?
I think that would be too OP because there's too many. There's too many. If the Falcon assists enough times, yeah, you just plow through that Houndstooth instantly. I mean, I Executor annoys me to the point right now that I'd be fine with something just destroying that fleet and making breaking it so that we have to leave it on offense or something. But that's just because I'm an uninitiated fleet. I'm just not good at fleets, really. I put a lot of effort into making sure that I can just kind of coast on it. That I have all the counters there, but.
Yeah, because I feel like with rebels, they're such a strong fleet. If you buff them to a point that they can take down Executor, I just feel like they would be almost OP, if that makes sense. That's my feeling about rebels. Because once they get going, even Negotiator versus a fully maxed out Hull 1 can get scary at times, So yeah, rebels are definitely a very powerful fleet themselves already.
Oh, they are. They're really good. Yeah, I really enjoy rebels. It's just that 50% chance for Falcon to assist, and sometimes it says no, don't want to assist today. That's the thing that drives me crazy. There's always that element of RNG. But okay, so what other ships? And then we should probably move on to other other ideas.
Yeah. I mean, then looking at, we have, was it like 3 Sith ships, or maybe 4 if we count Vader or something. But we have like now, is it Scimitar, right, for Maul?
Sure.
We've got Sith Bomber and as well Sith Fighter. I will not include Vader and Pulps because, they're meant to be in an Empire fleet. So I would like to
Sure.
see, maybe another Sith ship coming as well, because now, we got a Chimera and Executrix, right? So we got two of them and only one Empire fleet. So okay, fine, you put Empire fleet
Right.
with either Tarkin or Chimera, whatever works, and then you could have then a Sith fleet that works with one of them. So just having again, just another Sith, because there are plenty of Sith Starfighter from the KOTOR era, right? So you can just pick really anyone from there. Really, I'm not so much into KOTOR, but I do know that I'm pretty sure there are plenty of Sith fighters they could bring from that era. That's just something to bring some synergy with Sith Fighter, because Scimitar can have its uses, but Sith Fighter has this weird mechanics where it's losing health, and then after 3 turns it's just so squishy and it doesn't do anything, right? So just maybe another Sith Fighter from that era that kind of would tie onto that some sort of synergy. Okay, Sith Fighter is losing health, but then this other Sith Fighter, whatever it would be called, would be gaining a lot more bonuses than current Sith Fighter does. Just to maybe it would be a tank, and while Sith Fighter is losing health, this other one is gaining health and protection. So it's becoming tankier and tankier as the battle goes by. I don't know. It's hard to say, obviously, like on top of my head, but definitely I would like to complete the Sith fleet as well, because we have so many fleet commanders now and we just never get to use them.
Yeah, I'd be down. I'm always, I would love to have more ships, more non-capital ships, but that doesn't always it doesn't always pan out the way we want. The thing is, if we don't have we have too many capital ships already, so we can't even fully pilot all of them.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, my priority is getting more ships in. I don't want more capital ships at all.
And yeah, you say that about Sith ships and everything, and all I can think of is how awesome it would be to have Nihilus's big Sith, whatever it's called, his big capital ship, So you say that, and I'm like, oh yeah, they could have their own capital ship. So
I would love to, but I'm saying I just feel like then you see all those capital ships unused. And also, speaking of endurance, right? When was the last time you used Mace? Because we have so many Galactic Republic ships already. Like, Negotiator only needs maybe 5 out of those 8. So you got 3 leftover, ships from Galactic Republic. So then if you add the Padme ship, what is the Nubian, whatever it's called, that would be more like a defensive ship, right? Because it was more like
doesn't even have guns.
It wasn't really a fighting ship. It just it could be a more defensive, maybe a taunt or something like that on her, and then bring in Yoda's fighter. So we already have pilots. We have Padme, we have Grandmaster Yoda. So it would be just an extra ship for both of them, and you've got yourself a second Galactic Republic fleet, that can do some damage and give you some fun in the game.
Yeah, maybe get those worthless little Naboo fighters in on it too. The ones that can't even injure anything to do with like the separate or the Trade Federation ships with that horrible ship battle in Episode 1.
Yeah, maybe Padme's ship can summon them or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. That would be cool. Okay. So what else? What other things does Fleet need now?
All right, I've got one more thing for you.
One more. Okay.
One more. I know Executor does need more ships, but obviously, the Punishing One, the ship from Dengar. I'm not saying Executor needs a ship, but we did have to relic Dengar, and he's the only one from the list of requirements for Executor that does not have a ship. So it only makes sense that they do bring it out. While obviously it doesn't need it, what if the Punishing One, the way the mechanics would make mirror matches easier, because the mirror matches can be
Mm.
tricky, and they just maybe punishing one would make those mirror matches, not like as painful as they are at the moment, because at the moment it's all about the turn order. Like if you get the right turn order between Razor Crest, Xanadu Blood, and things like that, things can go very easy. If the turn order is not right, then things can get trickier. So maybe that what punishing one would do, that it would kind of wouldn't make difference anymore who goes first or second that anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, make it so that you have a win condition one way or another, so that you're not just like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, they got their first big burst on Executor, I guess. Like they targeted Razor Crest, and now I'm screwed. Yeah, like it would be nice to have punishing one come and kind of equalize that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just I don't know, maybe has a stun on its basic or something like that, or some sort of AoE there, or maybe a cleanse ability for Razor Crest and put it in stealth or something. I don't know, just something that would make those mirror matches not so hard. Because to be honest, if you want to max out your fleet, you shouldn't be penalized for that, right? At the end of the day. So hopefully then the
Right.
punishing one would be the equalizer for those. But otherwise, no, Executor doesn't need more ships. But for that reason alone, I think it would be worth it.
I think that's a great insight, actually, because I haven't heard anything good about like people aren't like, oh my gosh, Executor has made fleets so much more interesting. I love it. Like I just haven't. Mostly people say things like, I wish Executor didn't exist, or like, are you serious? I have to relic 9 Piet or whatever. Like it's more of a curse than anything, you know. I really loved it actually when Negotiator and Malevolence were both introduced, and at first it looked like Negotiator was by far the more powerful, but Malevolence actually had like it was very close to say the same powerful. It just wasn't obvious. I loved having them release that, and it made a more diverse fleet arena. You know, like the fleet meta was way more interesting than it is now, where it's Executor, then everything else is way worse.
Yeah, I mean, at least like in Negotiator mirror matches, because I didn't relic 8 my Kenobi until probably a couple of months ago for unlocking Master Kenobi. So I was always slower than everybody else. But at least with Negotiator, you could use that Imperial TIE Fighter trick, right? You get Foresight, and then either Soak or Fives, whoever they got on the enemy side, they would go after your TIE Fighter, and you would go before faster Negotiator. So you could eliminate that RNG who goes first. You had control over it. Whereas with Executor, if you just bring in TIE Fighter, AI is always programmed to go after Razor Crest most cases. So, by that time, your Razor Crest is marked already. So it doesn't really work that well. And that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, I'd love some kind of mechanic from punishing one. I mean, frankly, I don't like ships mostly because I feel like even though you continually make new builds and stuff, a lot of times ships are just a little bit, I don't know, like they're just limited right now. I would love it if they just made them more robust and we could actually do some like theory crafting across the everything. You're like, oh cool, like we could do something with Radis, or we could do something with Executrix, or have options.
Yeah, I mean, because even Negotiator, like anyway, I made guides. You can beat it with Finalizer, you can beat it with Radis, obviously with the help of other ships, right? Malevolence. So Rebels, which I never got to do because my Rebels are bad, but Negotiator, while it was top of the meta, it had lots of ways to beat it, whereas Executor, I've seen some people using Negotiator versus it. I tried it myself. I didn't have that much success with it. It can work, so I'll continue testing it and see if it's worth doing, if it's reliable enough. For me, it's like if it works less than 50% of the time, I'm not making video on it for me, because I don't feel then it's worth it really, the risk in Grand Arena, right? If it's not as reliable, but because especially with that Negotiator counter, if it goes wrong, you're done for. Whereas Malevolence, you can still recover even with a bad RNG start. So that's I think the main. Again, the main thing I think when it comes to Executor, I have to remove mods from my characters, and now I'm in Grand Arena. My
Yeah.
Cat Bane, I don't care. I don't use him, to be honest. But then I have a Beskar Mandalorian with 5 dot mods on him, no 6 dot mods, only 4 mods on him. I put him on defense, I don't care, but you know what I mean? It's like I would like to use him on offense, but then if I put good mods on him, he'll be much faster than my Cat Bane, and then my turn order won't work.
Right.
So I think that's the most, for me personally, annoying thing, that you have to remove mods of characters, because this is just totally against the principles of the game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hurting. Like I have a Relic 8 Bando, and so I just recently got Cad up to Relic 6, and it's not quite enough yet. And I'm like, I don't want to put more relics on him. I don't want to put 6E mods on him. I don't want to, and I don't want to take 6E off of Bando because he's an important part of my offense plan. So I don't know. You're right. Like, we shouldn't be penalized for our characters being good. I've always... Okay, so we're going over our time a little bit, but I want to hear what you have to say on this anyways.
Okay.
I recently fronted the idea that I think we need ship mods, frankly. Like, how would you feel about getting mods for ships?
One part would be great, another part...
Well, I mean, mods. It wasn't a popular opinion, but mods make this game. It makes the squads part of this game way more interesting. Like, I wouldn't probably be playing this game right now. I bet the game wouldn't exist without mods, because you can make your squads so diverse, and so, like, you can tool them to take on specific tasks. You're like, oh, I need to be able to take down this galactic legend with this other character, this other team. So I need specific, like, I need high tenacity, or I need high damage, or whatever. Like, you can customize your stuff, and ships are so static. It's like you're saying, the biggest thing you can do is remove mods. Like, that sucks. That's crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously it would help, because it will give you a little bit more control over, what you want to do. But as a free-to-play, it's like, oh man, another thing I have to farm and spend crystals on.
Oh, and I get that part too.
But if it would make overall life easier, then I would be up for it. But probably when it comes to actually Executor, what would actually be a very quick and easy solution for mirror matches is just the ability that you max out with a taunt. Did you max it out on Executor, the ability that puts a taunt on a bounty hunter ally?
I did, yeah.
Because if that would just
I maxed
say
everything out.
Bounty hunter tank taunts, then that would solve most of the mirror match issues, because then you can just cleanse your Razor Crest, get it up to 100% health and protection, and you should be good to go from there. But yeah.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, that's
because for the ships they had this, that they will release computers or something, wasn't it? But then that got replaced by the reinforcement ability. So they did have something planned for ships at some point, but
yeah.
But yeah,
that's
probably it would bring more people in, because maybe players like you like to tinker with mods and things like that. Maybe it would make it more engaging for the larger part of community, I guess. So that would be the benefit of it, having mods for ships.
When I made the video about it, there was a tremendous amount of negativity from people saying, we don't need mods, I don't want another thing to farm. And I get that. I don't even love to use, like, I love how mods can set you up for success. I don't necessarily love just like, oh, today I'm gonna go play with mods for an hour and a half, like, yay, and looking forward to this. Like, I don't want to remod things. That's not fun for me. I just love that then when you go into GAC, you're like, all right, I'm ready. Like, I'm prepared. I have the right team. I know what's gonna happen. I'm prepared. So maybe there's a better solution, or maybe we just have like 2 mod slots for ships, and it's way more limited than what we have for squads.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to have 6, right?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think it would be fun. We could talk about that some other time, I think. But that being said, my friend, is there any last second thoughts that you want to, last pieces of wisdom that you want to impart to the prevailers here?
Yes. remember that in all things, RNG prevails.
That's true. Thank you so much for I can't talk, but thank you so much for coming on with me, my friend.
Oh, it's been fun. Good. Always happy to do these kind of videos.
Yeah, super fun. And guys, I think I'll be linking. I'll be doing a video with BitDynasty on his channel, so I'll be linking that in the video description. So check out his channel as well, guys. So everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, as you say, RNG prevails.